Good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Welcome to episode 3 of Halted Productions. My name is Donnie, and I'm here with Austin. How you doing today, Austin?
I'm doing well. Well, I'm doing okay. I got a ticket today.
Oh, go fight the man.
Always stand up against the man.
All right, so we've got a treat for you here today.
All right, what are we looking at?
We're looking at a personal luxury sedan,
All right.
manufactured for 7 years, available 200 to 300 horsepower, and depending on the trim level, MSRP up to $30,000.
All right.
Named after a city in Monaco. What do you think we're
So,
talking about?
so I think we're talking about the Monte Carlo.
We are talking about the Monte Carlo. We're going to focus on the sixth generation, number 2000 to 2007.
Man, what a coincidence. The number 3 episode is the number is the Monte Gen 6 Monte Carlo. What?
I know. It's almost like we planned it that way, but we
Who
can't
would
be
have
that
thought?
smart.
No.
All right, so just let's get into the facts here. Like I said, it was a 7 year production, 2000 to 2007. There was a refresh on the nose and the interior in '06 and '07 for the final 2 years. They made 422,895 of these things. Of those, 14,829 were available with a 303 horsepower LS4 V8. Now, as you would imagine with any V8 front wheel drive car, you're going to have torque steer for days.
That's the fun. That's all part of the appeal. That was a feature.
Yes, that's a feature. Just like how Jaguar's feature is controlled seepage. It's not an oil leak, it's controlled seepage.
Exactly. I heard they came standard with AAA memberships.
Yep. So, of these 422,000 cars, they made 6,073 NASCAR Pace Car Edition cars. They made 2 different runs for Dale Sr. in '01 and in '03. They did it Jeff Gordon and a Tony Stewart and Dale Earnhardt Jr. special editions. So those all account for between 14 to 16,000 cars, depending on who you ask. Because a lot of the dealerships badge engineered a lot more than ever were ever produced.
Yeah.
So now MSRP on them, if you got the 3.4 V6 and the cloth interior, you could get these for $19,000 to $20,000 when they first came back out. Who would want that? The person who wants you to think that they have an SS.
And you can find those now on Craigslist for like $200.
There's actually one on Craigslist right now that we'll get to momentarily. Now, with this, it was a personal luxury sedan. It wasn't, a luxury coupe. So it was mainly around to compete with the Lincoln Mark 8, which was a same 300 horsepower V8 but rear-wheel drive car. Honestly, having driven both, I'd rather have the Monte Carlo.
Really?
Really?
I was going to say simply because the Lincoln is a rear-wheel drive. That would have been the winner for me.
That would have been the winner for you, just based on rear-wheel drive.
Based on rear-wheel drive.
Okay.
Donuts are almost impossible in a front-wheel drive car.
Well, not if you go to your local fast food establishment and steal a couple of the plastic trays, which we do not condone. So, now this car was a fantastic vehicle. I personally owned 3 of them, oddly enough. 2 of them were pace cars. I had the competition yellow and I had the torch red.
Now, I've always wanted to ask somebody that owned one of those, why? I see people driving around in the pace cars, in the special editions, and I just think, why would you drive around in something so cheesy?
Austin, it's not cheesy.
I
If
mean,
you
not if you're going to Talladega. Anywhere else is, it's you're looked down upon by the rest of the world.
it's funny you say that. I actually saw a pristine Dale Senior Intimidator Edition Monte Carlo at Lot 7 for the Daytona 500 this year.
Really.
Really. It wasn't mine, sadly enough.
Means anything you own pristine.
You know what? We're not going to go into that, okay? Is anything you own pristine?
Depends on your definition of pristine.
All right. So out of these cars, they were a lot of fun to drive. They were somewhat of a status symbol when they came out. And if you see one on the road today, they still look fantastic. You know, the Monte Carlo came about in the 70s and ran up until the early 80s, or excuse me, into the mid 80s. In the early 80s, we had a recession. In the mid 70s, we had that oil embargo from OPEC. And this car survived all of that. But it didn't survive bankruptcy.
Nope.
Nope. But I will tell you, in the front wheel drive with the supercharged V6, the Monte Carlo will run a 15-second flat quarter mile.
That's actually fairly impressive for an early 2000s GM product.
Yeah, that's for a street car, for a street car that drove to the track on street tires. 15 seconds isn't bad.
So let's talk about. I sat here, I looked at it, and I looked at the trim levels. It started with the LS, then the LT, SS, and the SS Super, the supercharged version. Out of all of those, the supercharged version has to be my favorite. It was only produced from 04 to 05. And it had a whopping 240 horsepower.
I can tell you that's a lie. My competition yellow supercharged Monte Carlo was put on a dyno and put 295 horsepower to the front wheels. And it was completely stock.
Well, they might have been underreporting it.
Yeah, GM has never done that in the past.
Never.
Never.
Why would they do that? That'd be, I'm sure there's rules against that.
No, not at all.
So when we get down to it, they made over 400,000 of these. And, I mean, you're obviously in love with them.
Oh, yeah.
For me, they're just another early 2000s GM product. I'm not a super fan of them.
Well, I understand, that there's people out there like yourself who look at them and go, oh, well, the dash is cracked and, the center console's falling apart and it squeaks and it rattles. And those are all features. It's part of its charm.
They're not part of its charm. I promise you. That is part of an aging, decrepit car.
The body style of this car was actually designed in a NASCAR wind tunnel with
Really?
NASCAR engineers. This car was designed to win races in NASCAR. And between 2000 and 2007, won 123 races.
Now, where does that put it in relation to the other car manufacturers that were in NASCAR at the time?
That is almost double what Ford won at that time.
Well, I mean, it was a Ford, so.
Now, I know we're talking about NASCAR, but, that's a lot of the body panels, the hood, the deck lid, the roof, were very similar to the street car. And, yes, the fenders were more flared, and it had aerodynamic force, or it had aerodynamic diversions on the sides of the cars and everything, but that's really what you do in NASCAR, even though they're on a tube chassis and they're V8 rear-wheel drive cars. But when you go through in 2007, now keep in mind, NASCAR season is 36 races long. Okay?
Right.
Toyota didn't come into NASCAR until 2008. 2000 to 2007 was Pontiac with the Grand Prix, Chevy with the Monte Carlo, Ford was using the Taurus,
Wow.
and the Fusion. The Fusion was, 06, 07. And then Dodge was using the Intrepid and the Charger.
Uh-huh.
In 2007, Chevy set a modern era record for 26 wins in a season.
26 wins out of how many did you say? 36
36.
race season? That's being close to completely dominant.
Yeah. Yeah. So the engineers that designed the refresh in 06 and 07, again, which was a NASCAR assisted refresh, NASCAR engineer assisted refresh, they knew what they were doing. And had the Monte Carlo not stopped production, they probably would have continued winning. There's never been a season where an entire manufacturer has swept the season, but I feel like they would have gotten close if they would have been
I feel
able
like
to
they
keep
could have
the
gotten
car.
close, but it never would have happened. Now, you mentioned if they continued to produce it. Do you know why they decided ultimately to take it out of production?
Aside from going into bankruptcy,
Yes.
what do you got for me?
All right, so, my theory is they were introducing the Camaro in, 2008? And, that's a two-door sports car.
I don't think the Camaro came back till 2010.
Did it? I'm sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's see. But the plans were there to reintroduce the Camaro. That would have just completely devastated. Like that would have, the Monte Carlo would not have sold at all. You put the Monte Carlo up to the Camaro for relatively the same price. What are you gonna buy?
Yeah, you're right. And
I
it
mean,
was 2010.
It was 2010.
Yeah.
All right, so that's 2-3 years because I'm sure they were still being sold new in 2008. There were still some left on the lots, the 2007 models. So that's 2 years different. The plans were already there to have the Camaro out. So I think that the Camaro, that was one of the big reasons, other than bankruptcy. Obviously, that's going to be one of the leading. But after bankruptcy, they knew they were introducing a two-door sports car, rear-wheel drive for around the same price that would have absolutely devastated the sales numbers of the Monte Carlo.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you there. That's definitely something that probably would have happened. That's a lot of variables right there in that sentence.
That's definitely something that probably could have happened.
Yes. So, but we, we're looking at 422,000 cars. You drive around a lot all day. I drive 30 miles back and forth to work. So I put 60 miles on my cars each day. How many of these do you see still on the road?
A good bit. I actually saw. So I was thinking of this or when we were going to record this the other day. I was sitting there thinking about it. Just while it was on my mind, around this one area of Atlanta, I saw 3. Keep in mind, 2 of them were on trailers. But I did see 3 of them. It just in this hour time around a fairly nice part of Atlanta. They're everywhere. You go right now onto Craigslist, onto Facebook Marketplace, type in 2000 through 2007 Camaro or Monte Carlo, sorry, and you'll find, just tons of them, each one with a different smell of smoke in the interior.
I think you're pandering here a little bit, but yes, you can definitely smell the Marlboro Reds still in the interiors of these cars.
Hey, you're the Palmas are, you're not giving them enough credit.
But yeah, there's 135 in the Central Florida area along the I-4 corridor. So you can get them right now for as low as $500. Now, there's one pace car for sale for $1,500, and it's an '01, and it's black, and the owner was definitely a Dale Earnhardt fan because it's got the Intimidator stickers, and they did the Intimidator headrests on the car, but it's got aftermarket wheels on it. It's got a few dents and dings, and don't get me wrong, I still want to purchase it, but I'm not going to.
Well, I mean, like you said, there's a ton of them. I mean, if you just type in Monte Carlo on Craigslist right now in Atlanta, 116 results show up. You know, everything from looks like pretty pristine, I mean, near mint condition ones for, I see one for eight, eight, 8 grand, a Monte Carlo SS. I mean, it's, but then there's ones for 500. That's
Yeah.
a pretty big range of price when it comes down to it. I mean, that's a really big range of price. There's not many cars that can do that other than what the early 2000s Thunderbird.
Well, the early
They're,
2000s Thunderbirds were only V6s.
but I mean, imagine that's something with the range of price like these. I mean, similar car, but there's groups of people that adore them and they ask premium prices for it. I mean, just stupidly high prices. And then there's the people you find them driving down the road with 300,000 miles on them and on Craigslist for $350.
Oh, yeah. And you know what the good thing is? If
What?
it's got the Series 2 3800 and it has 300,000 miles on it, it's just broken in.
That's true. So when you get down to it, I mean, this is a stupid question for you. Would you buy one?
I would buy one. I would buy
Would you
one.
buy
And
one new for 30 grand?
I wouldn't buy one new. I never bought one new. All of mine were used. Um, However, there is one on Craigslist that I kind of do want right now. And I didn't find it while I was searching for the show today. I've actually been looking at it for the last 2 weeks.
So that's
And
the trick. You need to send them a message. You needed to send them a message 2 weeks ago, shooting them a low ball, and then come back a month later after it's not sold, shoot them another low ball, just a slight bit higher than the original one. That's where I can tell you, I buy enough on Craigslist to know. I mean, if you need me to message them with a fake email account, I'm game.
I actually have 3 Google Voice phone numbers. You don't think that I've done this?
Man, people they don't think it's real. I talk to people, they're like, no, that doesn't work. I'm like, you think it doesn't work until I come home with a car I paid $50 for.
But so let me set the scene for you on this one, okay?
All right, got my eyes closed and waiting.
The one that I'm looking at is gold, okay? It's
All
that
right.
really dark beige metallic gold. The interior's beige. It's a towing impound uh, car. So it's sat in an impound lot for 45 days. It has a broken rear window.
Oh, that's a deal breaker for me.
The best selling point on this car, it is on 22s.
All right.
It's an '03 and it's on 22, so it's got
They
the good
donked it.
nose. It's a 3800. It's not really a donk because it's not lifted with 28s or 30s on it, but it's actually pretty clean for what it is, and I kind of want it. If I could get it for $400, I will probably have this car in my driveway this weekend.
All right, I'm sending you something right now. You said that has 22s. Check your Twitter messages.
Okay.
Got 2000 Monte Carlo, $2,800. Has Lambo doors.
Oh, I'm already sold. If it's got Lambo doors, I need this.
Has scissor doors. 26-inch rims. With rims, $2,800. Without rims, 2 grand.
Oh, and it's candy apple green. This is beautiful.
Yes.
And it's got the low spoiler on it. It doesn't have the NASCAR style spoiler.
That is a gem.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. We'll have to tweet this out so that when people listen to this in a week, they can then go back to the Twitter, which is at Halted Production Show,
Yep.
and see this beautiful car. Because this definitely, like, I almost want to send this guy a text and offer him $500 for this car.
You know he won't take it. You know he is way too proud of this thing.
I mean, I would be proud of it, and it still has the factory gray cloth interior.
I know, you think after putting scissor doors on it, after putting Lambo doors on it, you'd get an interior upgrade. But no, factory gray.
Yeah, that is a beautiful car.
Imagine rolling up to his girl. Rolling up to a girl. Hey, girl, here, get in. Pops the door, slides up. She's like, oh, damn. And then she gets in, and then it's like 2000s gray blech.
Yeah, I'm sure that happened more times than not between the years of 2008 and 2010. Now I will say, I am a big fan of donk culture. I love the vehicles. When I see these, if I go out to a donk show, or like down here at the West Palm Beach International Raceway, formerly Moroso Motorsports Park, they have donk drag racing.
Really?
Yes.
Have you seen the videos of like where the rear wheels, or like the wheels of the cars, like so much torque's on them, the rims just pop off?
Yeah, it's because there's actual science behind this, and I'm going to get into it right now because I want to. The wheels have such a high offset to clear the suspension components that they're having to run aluminum spacers.
Uh-huh.
They're having to stack the spacers on top of each other. So
that's a terrible idea. I'm not running that on my Jeep.
You may have, 4 to 5 inches of spacers between the hub and the wheel. Those are what normally break. But
so they're just not the cars for me. I'll say that. If I could get this car for $500, I would buy it just for the doors.
Oh yeah, this is definitely something like that I do the Lemons rallies. Yes. This is something that I would take on a Lemons rally, and it would have the doors up constantly. Like I would park it at the hotels at night, and I would leave the doors open.
Reminds me of a shark just going down the interstate. Baby shark, dude. Just have that blaring on the subs all the time.
That and the dun 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 dun.
All right, you got to get in this car now. This is the thing.
Yeah, that needs to come home with me.
No matter how much, I bet he would take $1,200 for it.
I could probably get it with the wheels for between 15 to 18 if I wanted to put that much effort.
You should do it. No, you should do it. 100. I will go pick that shit up for you. I will make this into a video.
Oh yeah.
Today on Austin's Garage, I become a member of the donk culture.
Oh. I love the shameless plug for your YouTube channel too, by the way.
Always, you got to. And if you aren't following me on Twitter, go ahead and do that as well.
Isn't it at Austin's Garage YT?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
All right, so you've said you would buy one because you've had 3.
Oh yeah, and honestly, I mean, I kind of want this gold one. I might have one before the end of the week. I might have number 4 before the end of the week.
Now, if you ask me the same question,
Austin,
go ahead and
what's
ask
it going to take? Austin, what's it going to take for me to put you in a Chevy Monte Carlo this week?
You're going to have to give that to me. Strap me in. I mean, maybe $100 I'd pay for one. I mean, I got to say, with the scissor doors, if it has scissor doors, that's another $250 I could splurge for. But I'm just not a fan of them. I don't like the looks of them, they're just big pieces of molded plastic driving down the road.
See, you're not wrong. They are just giant barges, for lack of a better term.
Just big blobs. There's no like real shape. There's no real like sharp edges. It's all that curved 2000 sleek. It's not even sleek. It's like my 3-year-old took Play-Doh. I asked her to make a car, and this is what she came up with.
Do you know why it's like that, Austin?
Why?
Because it dominated at the high speed, high banked super speedways in NASCAR.
We're talking
4 years.
We're talking about the car that I would buy. I don't care what it did in NASCAR. If it had the same engine it had in NASCAR, I would buy one. Yes. 100%.
So you're saying the theory of win on Sunday, sell on Monday does not comply with you?
No. It doesn't resonate with me at all. I don't think it resonates with anybody.
See, that's where you're wrong. They wouldn't have sold 422,000 of these things if it didn't resonate.
I think there had to be markdowns on them. I mean, substantial markdowns.
Oh, no, I'm willing to guarantee that there were rebates and incentives. You could probably get them for 15 to 16 new with an MSRP of 19 to 21. But again, for a base model car, that's what you would expect.
Yeah.
For the special editions, I can tell you this. My uncle was at a GM dealer in the early 2000s. Not going to say which one because it doesn't exist anymore. Not that it just died, it was bought out. But they had a first year Intimidator Monte Carlo. Now, they were all numbered, all right? They had number 300, which I found pretty awesome. I remember them asking $40,000 for this car.
There was something.
Somebody paid $40,000 for that car. The MSRP on the Intimidator and on the SS's was 29 to 30, depending on options.
So, do you know anything about when they discontinued it? The last two that rolled off the assembly line were identical SS models with the precision red exterior paint, silver rally stripes, and the ebony nuance in leather interior. They had the SS 5.3 V8s rated at 303 horsepower. So GM kept one of them to throw in their Heritage Center collection. The second that they kept
Which
the last
GM,
one.
if you're listening, yes, I will pay my own way into that museum. I just need an invitation, please. Please. I'm begging you. So the last one.
So that was the last one. They kept the last one that rolled off. The second to last one, the last sellable unit, was auctioned off on August 15th at Manheim's auction in Statesville, North Carolina.
Okay. Right in the heart of NASCAR country.
I can't figure out how much that sold for.
Is the first number a 1?
Yeah, it would have to be. I mean, those don't go for 2s. But the winning bid went to Fred Simon, the owner of Simon Chevrolet in some name in Rhode Island.
Okay.
Where it went on display on the dealership floor.
I wonder if it's still there.
I would bet it is. I bet it would have to be. Because he probably overpaid for it. Well, let's see.
How much did it sell for at Manheim?
I can't find it. We'll see. If you talk for a minute with some filler.
I'm willing to bet. That it sold for at least 100,000.
It had to.
So I've found out that Simon Chevrolet is now Tasca Chevrolet,
All right.
and I'm going through. I found a very nice ZL1 that they have indoors. So I'm going through the pictures and I'm looking in the background to see if this car is still there. It would make my day if it was.
I mean, if you buy it, I'm thinking you're keeping it. I can't find anything on it. Oh. Let's see.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they have this car still on their lot or still indoors. It does look like they have a couple ZL1s, a Centennial Edition Silverado, and a Tahoe RST, and a couple Corvettes inside.
I've just found. Let's see. Oh,
What'd you find?
I can't find it. I found people talking about it, but nothing where. No, nothing. I don't know how much this thing sold for.
That's kind of upsetting. But again, I would imagine it would be because it's in NASCAR country. I would imagine that car would be two or three or four times the MSRP. MSRP would have been what, like 35, 36?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, that was definitely a $120,000 to $150,000 car.
All right, so when you get down to it, it was a early 2000s piece of GM trash, right?
You know, it was a 2000s GM luxury coupe. And I will fight you tooth and nail. We will use those two words. Luxury and coupe.
Luxury coupe.
Yes.
It was luxurious to some. There was no doubt it was a coupe.
Oh yes.
But when you're in the double wide, that is your head roll right there. Oh my god.
you know, Austin, not everybody that lives in a double wide drives a Monte Carlo, and not everybody that drives a Monte Carlo lives in a double wide.
But I can guarantee you there's some overlap.
I do not disagree with you.
All right, so I think that may wind it up. We've talked about a lot of it. You showed your true colors, and I'm judging you harshly for it.
So you're still solid. You're not buying this.
I'm not buying one. No.
Okay. I mean, even if I was able to get you this gold one for $300 with 22s.
You go down, you get it down to 200. I'll be down there this weekend to buy
it. Well, I think we can go ahead and end on that note. The fact that I've been challenged to get Austin a Monte Carlo this weekend.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. That was our little spiel on the Gen 6 Monte Carlo. And if y'all want to stay tuned to next episode, we're going to be talking about the Lincoln trucks, the Lincoln Blackwood and the Mark LT.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
These are some of my favorite trucks.
All right, guys. Have a good night. We appreciate you listening. Again, if you like it, subscribe it. You can find us on Twitter. It's Halted Production Show on Twitter. I'm at DM Petruniak, Austin's Garage UIT. This will be on YouTube, and if you like it, share it. Tie your friends to a chair, make them listen to us ramble on for a half hour.
I think most of our audience is tying people to chairs anyways.
We appreciate you listening, and have a good night, everyone.
All right.